I don't always talk about Dragon Ball Super news, but when I do, it's important. And to dive deeper into this video, alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today, also known as Detective Q, and we have some breaking news in the Dragon Ball community. I'm sure most of you already know it by now in regards of the two Namekian characters being revealed as the hidden members from Universe 16, and their names are Soniru and Purina. I could be completely saying the names wrong, so if you guys want to correct me in the comment section, feel free to do so. But in these two characters, as Piccolo is my favorite character in the series, I definitely have a lot of interest in what they're going to do. So in this video today, I'm going to present to you 5 big questions that we need to know about these two individual characters. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to talk to you guys about is their alliance. Now, what we've learned in the Dragon Ball community, learning from King Piccolo going all the way to Lord Slug, and then if you even want to dive into the video games, we have Naraku, who's this evil Namekian, and that has obviously separated those characters from a lot of the more peaceful Namekians that we've seen, like Guru or Mori. And what this leads me into thinking is, are these Namekians actually evil, or are they going to be good? And the reason I bring this up is because Vados, who's often been a recruiter, especially for recruiting Universe 6's team during the Universe 6 tournament, doesn't really care about whether or not a character is good or bad, which is why she recruited Frost to participate in the Universe 6 tournament. So I definitely think their alliance and their motivation for fighting is going to be interesting here. And also, when we also talk about alliance, it's also important to note the relationship that these Namekians would have in regards to Frost, because if Frost is similar to Frieza from Universe 7, then you must wonder what impact Frost might have had in interacting with these Namekians from Universe 6. So their alliance is definitely a big question. And to move on to the next part of this list is dealing with fusion. Now, fusion is a big question here, because if we assume that these Namekians are just like the Namekians from Universe 7, we have to assume that these characters are capable, or at least able, to fuse. And if we make that assumption, this means that the fact that there are two Namekians being presented in the Tournament of Power opens up the door to them potentially fusing if the stakes got too high in order to help defeat Universe 7 or any of the other universes, so Universe 6 could survive. And I definitely think a potential fusion is in question because they selected 2 Namekians. 2 is a very important number when it pertains to fusions. And to move on to a big question that determines the Tournament of Power, how strong are these two individual characters? Well, we have to assume that if they're in the Tournament of Power, they have to be quite strong, other than not, they wouldn't have been recruited. And if you also think about this from another perspective, they weren't being involved in the Universe 6 tournament, and because they weren't involved in the Universe 6 tournament, that means that they're probably not top 5 like the other characters that we've seen before, but they're definitely top 10. And the weird thing is, if these Namekians are going to be X amount of strength, how would they compare in a potential fight against Piccolo? When you look at the fact that Piccolo is a fusion of 3 characters with the memory of a 4th character, it really makes it hard to believe that they could be on par with Piccolo when you also consider that Piccolo has gone into the hyperbolic time chamber and is trained with so many powerful characters. So seeing how the Namekians would have been so strong, or how they got their power, is going to be a big question in this Tournament of Power. However, looking at Dragon Ball Super, you gotta scale everybody up to make them able to fight, and I definitely think they're gonna be comparable. So, the next point I wanted to talk about is a potential team up with Universe 7. We've already seen with Kale and Caulifla that there's a mutual friendship and alliance that has been established between those characters and Goku, and the fact that they'll probably have each other's backs moving on in the future of the Tournament of Power. However, if these Namekians are good, as I expressed before, will they be characters that could potentially be allies to Universe 7 instead of being enemies? Well, I think when we look at Piccolo and the fact that he's probably going to interact with them the most, the question that we have to wonder here is Piccolo's influence enough to actually befriend these Namekians? My thing is, if you look at the influence of Nail and Kami, I definitely think that that will increase Piccolo's interest in actually interacting with these Namekians a lot more than actually just fighting against them. And I think ultimately, because of the influence of Nail and Kami in Piccolo, I definitely think that Piccolo would not be as aggressive to them as he would have been originally in Dragon Ball. And last but not least, guys, I think the #1 question we need to know about these Namekians is their evolution. As I've said before, the Universe 6 Saiyans are different from the Universe 7 Saiyans because these Saiyans are not born with tails, and that makes you wonder if the Namekian physiology would be slightly altered for the Universe 6 versions of the Namekians as opposed to the Universe 7 versions of the Namekians. And based off of the image that we saw in the leak, that they seem to be identical to the Namekians that we know, but that doesn't show everything because they can have accelerated healing, they can have an even greater sense of hearing, and they might even have a more powerful fusion than what we know from the Universe 7 world in the Dragon Ball series. So I definitely think understanding their Namekian evolution as opposed to the Universe 7 editions would be a much more interesting thing moving forward. But ultimately, guys, these are the 5 big questions that I wanted to ask about these 2 Namekian characters from Universe 6, and in the comment section below, let me know what you guys think. What questions do you have about these 2 Namekian characters, and what do you think is different about these Namekians as opposed to the Universe 7 ones that we have? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.